Today was going to be a spa day for Dakota. He was going to have a full grooming session. And also work on ground tying. First, tail brush. Some horses are funny about getting their tails brushed. My domestic horse Picasso isn't a fan. Now for picking out feet. Unlike just picking up the foot, picking out the foot involves some movement and a bit of pressure. Dakota has to learn to just stand during this process. When he takes his foot away, I simply go back and pick it up again. Dakota will need to get his feet trimmed soon. That will involve even more pressure and movement. Once he is more at ease with getting his feet picked out, I will start to twist his foot and push on it and pull in order to simulate the farrier trimming him. As I expected, he was a bit more touchy with his hind feet. I made sure to keep a hold of his lead rope so that if he did try to kick or leave, I could correct him quickly. His right side has always been his more sensitive side. I went back to just holding the foot before trying to pick it out again. Eventually, he let me pick out the right hind foot. Dakota is still learning to yield his shoulders. This seems to be a difficult concept for him. In order to travel in a circle around me, he has to move his shoulders out so that he is perpendicular to me, and then go forward. To the right especially, he tends to move away, but notice that his shoulders are not perpendicular to me, and his whole head and neck are still pointed at me. Another thing he tends to do is once he is on a circle, his attention wanders to things outside the circle. To correct this, I gently tug on the rope to reacquire his attention. If he isn't paying attention, he won't be ready the next time I ask him to do something. He must remain focused. A lesson every school kid has to learn. I have been working more diligently on getting Aries to let me touch him. I can see in his eyes he wants to connect, but his body is pretty sure I'm going to eat him. His left side is his more spooky side. I was pretty pleased he let me get this close at the beginning of our session. After getting that close, I make sure to give him some space to walk off some of the tension. I think it helps avoid too many explosions. Once I have gotten a good, quiet reaction on the left, I move him around to work on the right. While working on getting closer, I also continue to rub Aries all over with the bamboo pole. This is helping him get used to contact on all parts of his body. He still isn't a fan of his back legs being touched. After working in the small pen, I let Aries out into the big round pen to stretch his legs and run a bit. He is getting very good at changing direction, yielding, and following, though I need to follow through more on getting a full hind end yield from him. Sometimes he cheats. I again work on getting closer. Out in the big pen, he has more space to get away from me. I think this makes him feel more comfortable, as his head is usually lower when we work out here. I use a combination of both pens when I work with him. Aries is also getting to be a pro at rope work. One thing is for sure, this horse will never fear ropes. I've misaimed so many times and he's had the rope land between his ears and over his face. He just doesn't care anymore. This presented an excellent opportunity for Aries to feel the rope around his back and front legs. He was not in any danger of tripping as I had no intention of holding on to the rope. But he sure felt it and got used to it pretty quickly. I took this opportunity to swing the rope around the rest of his body. Today, Aries and I had our second lesson with Lena. I wanted to get her advice on getting closer to him. Her main suggestion was to keep my arm moving. Aries is most deeply concerned by the movement of my arm. In order to make contact with him, he is going to have to first accept the motion of my arm and then my hand touching him. First, we worked with the pole. He is most comfortable with the pole, but in the larger arena, he can also more easily evade the pole, and on his left side, he does. When I went to work with his left side, Aries tried to block me with his head, so I had to block his head with the pole. It took quite a bit of maneuvering to get around to his left side. With time and repetition, his left side will be just as easy as his right. It will just take longer. I I'm trying to get the pole on his back, right about at the withers. Once there, I will then pet my way up the pole. This keeps my arm always in motion, so he can get used to it as I get closer and closer. If you notice here, I am facing his hind end. At the time, I didn't see the significance of that versus facing his head. But the day after this lesson, I was doing this exact thing in the small pen, and I was facing his head. When he got too nervous and went to leave, he left by wheeling around towards the rail. This brought his hind end within inches of me. I was certain that had he touched me, I would have been kicked. It dawned on me why facing his hind end was the better position. By facing his butt, I could keep my core and energy focused on it. That way, if he felt the need to leave, he would move away from that energy, in this case, forward. A much safer position for the both of us. During this process, Aries is also learning to yield to the rope. I make sure to only tug on the rope, not keep a steady pressure. Steady pressure would teach him to pull against it, not yield to it. My goal on the right was to get closer each time. My goal on the left was just to get him to stand still while I was on the left side. Once he was nice and quiet on one side, I switched around to work on the other side. This was nice acceptance on the left. Dakota is now living next door to Aries in a pasture with several geldings. He is having lots of fun running around, but he is also learning more about adult horse social structure. The chestnut here, Sage, has taken him under his wing a bit. Day 2 of trailer loading. I was very impressed with Dakota when he loaded in the trailer a couple of days earlier. I used several methods with Dakota. First, I asked him to just follow me in. This only worked on the first day. Today, he wasn't going to just get in. That would be too easy. Next, I lunged him by the door of the trailer. I did this for 2 reasons. One, I can teach him to associate the trailer with rest. I can work him, have him trotting around in a circle, and then let him stop and rest by the door of the trailer. He picked that lesson up very quickly and would speed walk towards the trailer, but still not go in. Second, by perfecting my control over his shoulders, I could aim him at the trailer and then ask him to go forward, effectively sending him into the trailer. Dakota was still not ready to just walk in by himself, and I was not going to force him. That would accomplish nothing except eroding the trust he had in me. I then tried a bit of grain. One common way of teaching horses to load is to feed them in the trailer. I figured Dakota would get in for food. Once in, it's important he gets lots of praise. I want him to like it in the trailer. Exiting can be tricky and should always be done in steps. First, turn around. Then, wait. Then, exit. This teaches him to wait and not just come flying out of the trailer. Food does not work forever, and I had to bring in reinforcements. Enter trailer loading master Picasso. I tied Picasso in the front of the trailer so Dakota would have some company when he got in. I'm shaking my finger at Dakota because he almost went in that time. He almost forgot to stop. Horses go where their nose is pointed. Once his nose was in the trailer, I gently swung the rope at his hind end to encourage him to step in. Each time he made an effort, I stopped asking and waited. He seems quite proud of himself in there. Getting a horse to go into a trailer on their own is a huge confidence builder. He handled that fear alone. I was there for support, but ultimately, he chose to walk in. That makes him feel good about himself. Now for some more work with Aries and getting closer. I used what Lena and I had talked about on Thursday. I also remembered to face his hind end and keep my focus on his butt. That would prevent any more near-miss accidents. On the previous day, I had gone into his pen and read a book for about an hour. I would read and then get up and work with him some and then go back and read some more. The book I was reading was about a woman who rode her Mustang from California to Virginia. I had so many images of the journey Aries and I were going to take. There was something in the air, and he almost let me touch him. I was maybe 2 inches from his back. He is ready. I can feel it. One of the benefits of the pole is that I can scratch itchy spots. Hopefully he is thinking, that feels kind of good. Here, I didn't like the position Aries was in, so I asked him to move forward. I want him to have a clear exit, so he doesn't feel the need to make one. Next week, I may experiment with putting a glove on the end of the pole and seeing how he does with that.